Hello and welcome to the Sober Bliss podcast with me, Gail, and my amazing guest. I finally quit drinking for good in March of 2018, and one of the things that helped me was connecting with people on the same journey as me, hearing their stories and finding inspiration. No matter where you are on your journey to sobriety, I hope you enjoy listening to these stories and hope they bring you inspiration, joy and light so you can find your own sober bliss. Hi everyone and welcome to the Sober Bliss podcast with me, Gail. Today I'm really excited because I'm joined by the absolutely lovely Karolina from Euphoric AF. Hi Karolina.
Good show today. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Because I've been, well, not stalking, that's probably the wrong word, but following you since my own kind of exploration into living alcohol-free. And I just love the uplifting and empowering message that you share. So would you mind telling us what it means to you to be alcohol-free?
Absolutely. I think it means really to be free of the weight of societal expectations, of really outsourcing your fun and pleasure to something outside of you. I think it really allows you to discover your own self-expression and go for what's really on your heart. Now, that might sound a little esoteric, but, 4 or 5 years later, that's really what I've found is, first you discover all the physical benefits, then you discover some mental benefits, and so many years later, I've really just found that this is how women are able to tap truly into a greater sense of purpose when they're no longer drinking or using alcohol to numb any part of their lives, even when we do it playfully, even when we were doing it, for the fun, for the weekend, for the party, for the social occasion, it was still, I think, allowing us to stay stuck in this status quo that wasn't really growing us.
Yeah, that's so true. It is a massive block and it is something that numbs us. So, it's like Brene Brown said, you numb the good, you numb the dark. You can't choose which bits of us we numb out when we're drinking. It just gets in the way of everything. And it is just such a joy and a relief, as you say, to be free of all of that and to work out what it's like to be ourselves again in the truest sense of the word. So how long have you been alcohol-free for now, Karolina?
Between 4.5, 5 years.
Okay, wow, that's amazing. Well done.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And what kind of led to the decision that you thought, well, I have to do something about this?
Yeah, so I was someone who partied pretty hard when I was younger. When I was in college and grad school, I really just had no boundaries around alcohol. It was just how I let loose and was basically the attitude of my day. But a lot changed as I got older. By the time I'm in my mid to late 20s, I settled down. I get a career, I get a marriage, I get a house. I no longer go out to the bar till 2 a.m., right? Drinking becomes something that I reserve for the weekend. I also really start evolving in my health and wellness journey and my mindfulness journey. And so basically what ended up happening is Monday through lifestyle. I drank the green juice. I went to yoga classes. I meditated. I was really into health. And then every weekend, alcohol would come and basically bulldoze all that healthy progress I make. I would wake up on Monday mornings feeling just so dejected. So not only obviously physically unwell, but also I literally took 5 steps backward from the progress I had already made during the week. It was like I was on this never ending roller coaster, really. And it drove me nuts. Every Monday morning, it just drove me so nuts. And yet I would look around me and everyone else was doing the same thing. I was obviously, sometimes I overdrank, sometimes I didn't, but I wasn't by any means, what you'd call a stereotypical heavy drinker, right? I definitely had boundaries around alcohol. And every year I actually tried to drink less and less than the year before, so this quest for the balance, the quest for the moderation, which is just what's so touted in health circles, was this never ending quest for me. And I always wanted to take a break from alcohol, but it was always the social event that stopped me. It was always the dinner party, the wedding, the dinner with friends, whatever. Until finally I just got sick of it. And it was actually hearing of Dry January that really, like, a light bulb went off in my head. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can take a break from alcohol and I don't have to explain it to anyone. I don't have to go ring to everyone and tell them I have a problem. And so that dry month was my first kind of month really just learning how I feel without alcohol in my life. And it was amazing. You know, the sleep was better. The health was good. I was just so proud of myself every day. Come February, I didn't really think I was allowed to keep going. I basically remember my first social event thinking, well, if I want to be an adult, I have to drink because adults drink. And so a few drinking times in February, you know, I really then recognized how much I hated drinking. A few drinks in and I would lose all of my sense of gratitude and appreciation. I'd turn cranky, frustrated. I would not sleep very well. I even started picking little fights with my husband. And so at the end of that February, I was just like, you know what? Drinking sucks. I decided to take another break at that point. And that's really when I took a break that just lasted until today. And I really rediscovered myself on that journey. Not only obviously did I experience all the physical benefits and really redevelop a sense of self-love and self-esteem with myself, but I recognized why I was really drinking. You know, I think we all drink because it's socially pushed on us. I think it becomes a habit really easily. But I think deep down, my unique reason was because I was bored. I was unfulfilled with my life. I worked a 9-to-5. I didn't feel like I was making a big impact. I wasn't passionate about my job. And I felt really stuck around it. You know, you just have to get a job and pay the bills. It's just adulthood. And so when I went alcohol free, that confidence I got of not drinking anymore started spilling over into other areas of my life. I was like, wait a minute, if I cannot drink for 50 days, maybe I can make a change here. Maybe I can actually go after these dreams that I've had on my heart ever since I was a little girl and go after them. And so, you know, in a really short period of time, I launched a business. I eventually left my day job. I wrote a book. I traveled a lot alcohol free. I started speaking about it, you know, and I just really found what I'm passionate about and started really cultivating a life filled with meaning and purpose instead of looking for a drink to relieve the fact that I didn't have those things before. And, you know, ever since then, I literally feel like I'm high on life. I mean, obviously I have ups and downs, but like meaning and purpose were the two biggest things I think I was missing before. And, you know, now I'm not only just passionate about helping women go alcohol free. I think that's really, really great, obviously. And that's where you start, you know, as a coach myself, but it's this next level. It's this like, okay, we remove the thing that doesn't serve you anymore, but we remove it for a reason. We remove it to create space to find what you really, really want to do in your life and use your precious time on this planet to actually go after it. And that's where I think I have my biggest wins with my clients and also with my life, is helping women really go after that next chapter filled with that passion and that meaning and that purpose. So that's me in my nutshell and my coaching business in a nutshell. And a lot of what I talk about in my book, Euphoric, as well.
Yeah. Wow. Just listening to you, it just makes so much sense. Like, why would you not stop drinking if this is, you know, what lies ahead of you? And it's so true. I remember drunk dreaming of all the things that I would do when I wasn't drinking anymore. You know, all the places I would go, all the dreams that I would fulfill. But of course, you can't do any of that while you're still drinking. And it does take, as you say, the break, the long extended break, or, you know, like both of us, just leaving it behind altogether in order to go after those dreams and desires and to feel fulfilled again. Because, yeah, you're right. The alcohol, it does fill a hole in us. And sometimes we don't know what that hole is, do we? What that void is. And it takes actually having the courage to take a break, to find out what it is that we actually need or want in our lives. I mean, it sounds really exciting and uplifting and powerful and, you know, all the rest of the wonderfulness that it is. But when you're in that space of okay, I need to stop drinking. I want to stop drinking. I know that I can do so much more. How do you go from that to actually taking the step? What did you do? Was it easy in the beginning?
I have to say that that voice that was there with me every Monday morning, it was really quiet. That's exactly what it was telling me. It was like, Karolina, more than this.
Yeah.
And it was the quietest yet strongest voice in my life. I didn't want to listen to it. I didn't want to listen to what it meant, And for so long, I just made so many excuses. Not like it was in denial, but really on the surface level, we are taught that the only problem one has with alcohol is if it looks like this, and that, right?
Yeah.
And we don't recognize that as a society, maybe alcohol doesn't serve humans. Maybe it really, isn't really this beverage that allows us to live to our biggest potential anyways. And if we were allowed to be more conscious and aware about it at an earlier stage, it wouldn't even get to the point where it becomes a problem for anyone. And so, that was what was missing, is that ability to be reflective. I could be reflective and mindful in so many other areas of my life, but when it comes to alcohol, one must drink, or therefore one isn't normal, and that really kept me stuck. So I have to say, I was really stuck for years before. You don't even know. I have years of knowing how much I wanted to take a break, how much I wanted to change, diary entries, spreadsheets, where I counted the drinks I had to try to make less, like just so much anguish, mental gymnastics I was playing. But the second I said I wanted to take a break from alcohol, it was actually as if that was all like released, and really, the weight was lifted. And the mental gymnastics, I didn't have to play them anymore. I didn't have to do the decision fatigue anymore. I could just decide to not drink. And that was it. There was no more decision about it. Now, there was a lot of, obviously, there's a difference, I think, in learning just not how to drink on a certain night, like a Friday night, and learning how to be comfortable in an alcohol-free identity, right? That's a different thing that can take a lot longer. And so that's like really what comes up when we go socialize, when people offer us drinks, when we're even just talking about our journey. And I found that every step I took along that journey really actually helped build up my confidence and my courage. Because here's the thing. Yes, not only is drinking the road less or not drinking the road less traveled, right, in our society, it also comes with a lot of historical stigma that, oh, you must have a problem, or you must be boring or religious or something. And so when you stand in the face of that and you are boldly saying, no, alcohol doesn't serve me, and I'm allowed to make choices for my life that serve my body the best, it's really activating your internal courage system. And the thing is that anything that we really want in life, the beautiful things, the big things, they often take a lot of courage too. And they often are the road less traveled, like writing a book is the road less traveled, launching your own business, having your own podcast. Most people on the planet do not do those kind of things. And so I think that courage that I had to almost work out like a muscle, every time I ordered a mocktail, every time I told a friend, it was the same courage that got stronger and stronger to design the life I really want to live. And so that is also this like messy part when you're in with it, that it's literally not just about, okay, not putting a drink up to your lips. It's not just that part that you have to solve. It's that really affirming a new identity that, and so, that's something I obviously work through and really help my clients work through. But for me, honestly, to just take the break, I'm a very like stubborn person. So once it was like a full commitment to not drink this many days, it was just like a done deal. Before, why I struggled so much is because I never really made the commitment. It was always this wishy-washy, I'll try to drink less kind of a thing. Oh, maybe not tonight, but if it's a maybe, it's always a yes. You know what I mean? So I think that really helped. And that's why I really encourage people to take a break from alcohol, because it's not forever. It's not one day at a time where you're always making the decision every day. It's just a committed period of time. You tell yourself you can do anything for that time. And then as you go through it, you can always reevaluate at the end. Are you going to extend it? Are you going to go back? It doesn't matter what you choose necessarily at that point. But at the beginning, knowing that you have that option can be really helpful.
Yeah, you're so right. And I agree with what you said. And similar thing happened to me as well, because I too struggled with, just drink Thursday to Sunday, and then the rest of the week it'll be fine. Or maybe today I won't drink at lunchtime, or maybe today it'll be fine. But as you say, if it was a maybe, then it was a definite, I'm going to drink, because it was just the commitment wasn't there. So when I stopped, I said to myself, okay, I'm not drinking no matter what. And that was it, decision made. And for me, it was helpful not to put a time frame on it, because I knew that, well, this is it. This is the new me, the Gail who doesn't drink anymore. Because I don't think, like you mentioned there, the one day at a time, I don't know if I could have coped having to make that decision again and again and again every single day. I know it's hugely helpful for some people because, as you said, you know, you can do anything for a day. So let's just not drink today. And the more days you don't drink, then the easier it gets. But I can just so relate to the freedom of mind when, what did you call it? Mental gymnastics.
Yeah.
I love that. It's so true, isn't it? That battle in your head, the justifying, the questioning, and the will I, the won't I. And when it's gone, I think that's the main benefit of being alcohol free, that freedom of mind, that peace of mind, and not being stuck in that mental, you know, turmoil all of the time.
Yeah. And, you know, when you say it like that, you know, that mental turmoil, it takes up so much space in our brain, so much energy in our brain. I think, you know, going back to what we started talking about, like, we are powerful creatures. We were meant to be creative, expressive, and create things and change the world and make lives. And when our brain is preoccupied, whether this should I, shouldn't I, you know, it's like our gift, our beautiful gift, is being used to solve a problem that's meaningless, instead of actually using it to solve a problem we care deeply about. And that's why I think that alcohol, removing it, really helps unleash your deeper purpose, is because you have the full potential of your beautiful creative energy back to you, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So when you help people, Karolina, because you mentioned that you work with clients, you do that one-to-one, don't you? And in groups?
Correct. I do groups, clients, I do retreats with women. I do, that's it.
Yeah,
I have a book.
That's quite enough. So do you focus on, you know, the nitty gritty, the managing cravings, the dealing with triggers, or do you do kind of like what I do and try to look at the bigger picture and what it is that you're aiming for, which, you know, if you can hone in on how it feels to be alcohol free, then everything kind of becomes a little bit easier to manage. So what is your approach, if you like?
Yeah, so I'm so grateful. I've been in the business now for 4 years. I got started basically right when I had my own epiphany about how amazing this lifestyle is. Yeah. And so I've been able to really craft programs and packages that really target every stage of the journey. And I will say that often the very start, you know, the very first break, the cravings, the triggers, you know, I really do that in group programs now, so that women have a lot of support and accountability and just going through the experience together. And I really reserve my one-on-one time for women who are already alcohol free or taking a break and really navigating this new identity of really becoming confident in it, but at the same time, discovering what that deeper why is, what that deeper purpose is. So it's definitely a big picture of not only like what's possible for you now that alcohol is out of the way, you know, almost rediscovering ourselves. I feel like we don't know. I mean, most people don't know what they want to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do either. You know, I had some hints, I had some clues. I knew I wanted to write a book, for example, all my life, but I didn't know I wanted to run a business or be a coach. You know, those came in clues. And so I really love helping women piece together the clues of what they're passionate about, what they want to do with their time on this planet, whether it's a new career or just a passion project on the side, you know, or it's this, you know, some new phase of their life. You know, I don't think we just necessarily have one purpose in life, but I think it comes in phases. And this is this opening of this beautiful phase that's coming for, you know, anyone who's made this transition from drinking to alcohol free. And within that, you know, if a woman wants to obviously launch a business or write a book or, you know, build something that didn't exist before, I'm really passionate about helping her do that as well. Because, you know, by myself, I can only help so many people out there in this world, you know, and so it's such a joy to also coach other alcohol-free coaches of helping them build their businesses, because the more of us that are out, just the world, the culture is going to change. Eventually the culture will change. I believe that 100%. I think we're already seeing so many signs of it. The youngest generation doesn't drink nearly as much as the other generations. There's so many alcohol-free options and bars these days. There's so much movement and conversations happening in our space. I really think culture will change, but we are the change. We have to change the culture, you know? And I often teach women, you know, when we're embarrassed to say that we're not drinking, or we're just like using an excuse or feeling like it's not acceptable, we're perpetuating that culture that one must drink, that it's the expectation. Now, I'm not saying we'll live in a world necessarily where alcohol is not allowed or prohibited, but to not have that expectation that anyone can choose, you know, and that it really isn't mean anything about you. It is literally just a beverage in a cup. You know, we're not there yet. And I think that that's the change that we still need to make. And the more alcohol-free women that are out there doing that, whether they're actual coaches themselves, or they're working in a different practice, like in nutrition or in fitness or in, you know, even law, you know, all these things, all of these fields need to be changed and have this awareness, I think, around this to be able to really change the culture, like I said. So I have, you know, programs, like I said, I have my dry boot camp. It's like a 22-day experience, you know, then a really core program that helps change your beliefs around alcohol. So all the reasons why we think we like to drink are, you know, often these biases we formed over time that they're really resting on assumptions and necessarily not on facts. And then really helping women in that next phase of discovering what lights them up now, you know, because in a way, alcohol tricks us into thinking that it's fun. Yeah. It does affect the pleasure center in the brain. But the thing that it robs you of is it robs you of actually discovering what's really fun for you, what really gives you pleasure, what really gives you a sense of joy. And we are so lacking of that in this world, so lacking, especially for women. You know, the idea of pleasure, just doing something for enjoyment, for joy, is so missing in our overproductive society. And to actually go through an experience where you remove the alcohol and have to rediscover what lights you up, what brings you fun. It might feel daunting at first, but it's a beautiful journey. And that's often what I teach in my programs about, you know, I'll have my clients go out and just have fun for a day. Go try this, go try that, go to tango dancing, you know, go to the botanical gardens, go paddleboarding, go to a painting class, you know, just get out there and explore. And oftentimes when we're open to this creativity and this exploration, that's when our greatest insights and our greatest ahas and our greatest like, oh, that's what I should do next, come to us. So that's kind of in a nutshell, I guess, how I work with women and how I manage my programs. But I love what I do so much. And I think it's because I'm not just talking about alcohol all day. You know, it really is the bigger picture, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Helping people to, as you say, rediscover themselves again, because we forget, don't we, what it is that we really love to do. Or maybe we just don't know anymore because we've just been drinking for so long. It is so surprising. I've worked with people who have become interior designers. Some of them have gone back to university. Somebody else has started a gardening business. And not just the realization that actually I can do this if I want to. It's the confidence to be able to do it. And I think as well, which is something you say a lot, recognizing that we are worth doing this thing for ourselves. Because you say right on your homepage, rediscover, what is it, your worth, your self-worth again. And I think when we're drinking, we don't feel worthy or deserving of anything. I certainly didn't. It was a punishment of sorts, even though it was something that in the beginning I chose to do. It got to the point where I felt I had to do it. It was the only thing I was worthy and deserving of because I was drinking. Often, you know, I would really want a nap or a bar of chocolate or something, but we're like, no, you can't have that because you're drinking. So when we're not drinking, that self-worth and the self-love comes back, which leads on to so much.
Absolutely. And, you know, self-worth, even if we don't think it's a conscious thing about, you know, drinking and that has nothing to do with each other, just the fact of being okay. I'm okay to purposely wake up feeling unwell. deteriorates our self-worth, because then that version of us that wakes up feeling unwell or anxious or whatever, words you use to describe that, it looks back at the past version of you and it's just like, really? You didn't care? You didn't care about how I'd feel today? And that deteriorates your self-worth over time. And literally, like you said, makes you feel like you deserve less. And, the journey of self-worth isn't just bam and you're done when you stop drinking either. I think the journey towards self-worth, it lasts a lifetime of just how much goodness are you really willing to accept and receive in your life? Because there's always a cutoff. Things can only be this good, but they can't be that good. I can't have that life. Well, who am I to have that life, right? I can have a good marriage, but my career has to suck. I can have a great career, but my marriage has to, we literally have a cap on how good we believe our lives can be, because we feel that if we really allowed and deserved all the goodness, it would be taken away, or that, again, like we're not worthy of it. And you can stretch this to so many limits. Even the person who is making millions of dollars probably doesn't feel like they're worthy of $10 million, right? Like this goes on to so many limits. And so it's really a beautiful exercise to really ask myself, what do I believe I'm worth? And often recognizing that it's the beliefs behind that question that really dictate our situation in life, and that it really is the beliefs and not the external situations often that we think, is controlling our lives. Two different people could do the same exact thing with different beliefs about their worth and have completely different outcomes.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's that belief as well, I think, which does keep us stuck when it comes to not drinking. You mentioned it before. It's the belief that if I'm not an adult if I don't drink, or there's something wrong with me if I don't drink, or I'm weird, or I'm dull, or I'm boring. And it is so much about, well, everything's intertwined. The more I'm on this journey, the more I kind of realize that it's not just the drinking over here and the rest of life over there. It's all intertwined with our beliefs and our self-worth. But you're right, what you said about society and culture. For me, the biggest block and struggle was, what will people think of me now that I'm not drinking? Because I didn't want, to have to explain myself, or to have people thinking, oh, you're an alcoholic. I don't buy into that either at all. So how did you overcome, other people, shall we say, because that's often the thing that can trip us up in the beginning.
Absolutely. And I think we're so terrified of people making up stories about us, right? Stories we can't control. Like I told you my story, and I was terrified that people would assume I was hiding vodka at work, right? Which wasn't the case. I was just so terrified that they literally would be making up stories in their head. I was terrified that, people wouldn't invite me out anymore, or that, I wouldn't be seen as fun, or whatever it is. And I had to face every single one of those fears. I think why going alcohol free is also, it's not just about the alcohol, right? It's this metaphor. It's this metaphor for spiritual and emotional growth in your life. And you're doing it through the theme of alcohol, but it's actually developing so much more within you. I had to face those fears. Trust me, those fears exist within me, whether it was about alcohol or not. The fear of what people think of me existed, whether we're talking about this or not, but it's exacerbated with alcohol because it's such a touchy, vulnerable subject. And so facing the fear in that respect, recognizing that I can live my life worrying about what other people think and deal with that fear, or I can deal with the regret of my dying day and recognizing I didn't live the life I truly wanted to live because I was worried about what other people thought. So it's fear or regret. Which one am I going to face? And I decided that regret would be so much worse. And so I stopped caring about what people thought, especially in that realm. I started to become really proudful and really finding role models I looked up to that didn't drink. Tony Robbins doesn't drink. Deepak Chopra doesn't. Brene Brown doesn't drink. The last 2 American presidents don't drink alcohol. The most successful people in the world sometimes are not drinkers because it helps you literally be your best self. There's literally nothing wrong with that or nothing shameful about that. It's actually something as a point of pride. So I started embodying that pride. I started actually being proud of my mocktails and my alcohol-free beers. If I went to a party, I was hoping people would ask me about them, so I got to talk to them about it. And I stopped thinking drinking is normal. I flipped it on its head. I really started to see all of the health studies that came out, all of the, evidence that showed that any amount of alcohol is bad for you. I don't think that drinking is normal anymore. I think it's abnormal, right? Just like smoking cigarettes is abnormal. And, I don't feel like the weird one or the odd one out. I look at people drinking, and not to be judgmental, but there's a part of me that feels bad that, they're not going to wake up feeling very good or whatever it is, So I really, not only did I flip the switch and really look for role models that made me feel empowered and like a badass, I also had to deal with the fear of what people not thought, of people thinking about me, and really recognize that I had to live my life for me and not them. And, there's this really great analogy that like you are the actor, you are the main character of your life in a movie, right? You are the star of your life. And often these people that you're worried about, they're not even going to make the credits. They're going to be taxi driver number 1 and taxi driver number 2. Like they don't matter in your life, right? Yeah. And yet we cater. I remember it wasn't even my family or my dear friends I cared about so much. It was the random acquaintances. It was the random colleague at work. It was the professor that I knew a while back. Like it was so stupid, the people I worried about. They were not anyone important in my life. So, really embodying a new confident identity around it, looking for alcohol-free role models. There's so many. Anytime I work with a client, I'll ask them to find an inspiring role model that's alcohol-free. And really imagine, how would that person react if they were offered a drink? Tony Robbins would just smile and just laugh and chuckle a little bit and be like, I don't drink, he'd be so proud of it. He lives such a successful life, and alcohol has no room in it, right? There's so many people that carry that kind of energy. And I really think embodying them can be super helpful along that way. And, if you, like, for example, you work a corporate job and everyone around you works a corporate job and your whole family has done that. And, all the security, the benefits, the retirement, you want to go outside that box and go on and be an entrepreneur one day. Oh, everyone's going to have an opinion too, right? Yeah. Not worrying about what people think isn't just in this one little respect. It really is a beautiful step of courage to use in so many other areas of your life. Maybe a woman is slightly older and doesn't have kids yet, so she wants to adopt instead of have a baby, through traditional means. That's another huge leap of faith that we have to take. Everything that's really beautiful in life that we want takes these leaps of faith, and doing it for us and not for other people's validation or approval. Because once we're stuck in that loop, to an unfulfilling life. So it's kind of meta, all the things I'm talking about, but I just think it's so cool that really going alcohol free is an exercise in strengthening all of this growth in you and really evolving from a person who's more fear-based, scarcity-based, people-pleasing based, no boundaries, to someone who has strong boundaries, cares about their own self-worth, before worrying about what other people think, and live an empowered, inspiring life. And I'll have to tell you, so many of my friends were inspired to follow suit. It wasn't, I was the only one who didn't like to feel hungover. Like nobody wakes up after drinking feeling like $1 million, right? And it's such common sense, but we don't really recognize that in our society. Nobody feels good after drinking. No. And so you're the one who goes alcohol free first in your friend group. Your friends probably feel the same. We just don't talk about it. And you might open that door and that level of inspiration for them to be able to start opening their worldview and maybe getting inspired by you.
Yeah, that's so true. And you're right. We can live our lives trying to please everybody else, worried about what other people think, whatever it might be, whether it be drinking or starting a business or moving to another country or, I lived in a cave over here for 12 years, which is really normal here. Everybody lives in caves. But when I left the UK to come and live in a cave, you can imagine what the comments were and all the jokes, oh, do you have water? Do you have electricity? All of that. But I could have not done it. I could have stayed in a normal, boring 2 up, 2 down in England, but I chose to embrace my uniqueness, I suppose, come out here and live in a cave. And it can be anything. We choose to do what we want to do. We can either, as you say, listen to those fears and not do the thing that we want to do, or we can embrace the fears, show ourselves, actually the love that we deserve, and go out and do the things that we want to do, whether that be living in a cave or stopping drinking.
I love that example. That is perfect.
Yeah, it is. It's also very true. So I don't live in a cave anymore. I live in a warehouse, but a non-drinking cave dweller, I suppose you could say. Oh, and that gets back to how we started. You know, when we're not drinking, we are extremely powerful. So what advice would you give to anybody listening to this right now, thinking, yeah, I don't want to drunk dream my life away. I really want to do this. And I can see your point, but I'm still scared. What would you say?
Yeah. Well, I don't think our dreams come to us by accident. I think that our dreams are the deepest level of desire that are actually given to us by something else, whatever you believe in, whatever outside of you thing that is more powerful than you, that created everything, or the universe itself. I think that that's where our dreams actually come from. And I think they come to us because we are the exact person who's meant to fulfill them in our lifetime. I think it's a sacred act. And I think that we can live in the fear and the limitations and the lack, and just not believing that we're worthy of it, or that we can do it, or just looking back and saying, that's not for me. And, we have really one life,
Yeah.
As far as I know, I don't know, maybe reincarnation exists, but as far as I know, this is the only time I'm going to be on this planet, and this idea that I was snoozing on my potential, that I was wasting so much time not working on my gifts and just feeling so stuck, it just makes me so sad. In a minute, in an instant, we could be gone in an instant, right? And that's such a scary thought, but it also propels us to urgency to grasp this life and understand that we wouldn't have these dreams if we're not capable of achieving them, that they're given to us literally as a sacred mission. Whether you want to write a book, whether you want to launch a business, whether you want to become a coach, whether you want to change careers, whether you want to move to Spain and live in a cave, whatever it is, I think it's in your heart to fulfill that. I've always had a dream of living in Europe, and I'm finally here. I mean, I've visited so many times, but I'm here for the entire summer. My husband quit his job. Oh, so many fears we had to overcome to get here. Just like you, I'm sure, leaving the UK, we had to find someone to take care of our dog long term, and we had to quit my husband's job, and we had to, settle up a lot of things around the house, just so many things that would have stopped us. We had to face the fear of possibly World War III breaking out, right? There's so many things that will always prevent us from going after our dreams. But like I said, the regret will weigh on us so much more. And I think really when we take a leap of faith, we can't know all the answers. We don't have certainty, right? We won't know what happens. Same thing with taking a break from alcohol. You don't know. But I really, truly believe that when we take a leap of faith, miracles happen. The universe catches us, and it catches us on the other side. And we are literally, there's opportunities like blossoming in front of us we couldn't have imagined. So if you're not sure what it is, but you have a clue, a hunch that life could be better, that there's something more for you, strengthen that faith muscle above all else. You won't know all the answers. You won't know how it's going to turn out. Fear will always be there to pester you. But taking that leap of faith can be one of the most freeing feelings ever, of knowing that you are trusting your intuition, your heart's desires. I promise you, your heart's desires and your intuition will never lead you astray. And it's our ego and our small-based thinking and our, lower self, our fear-based self that really hold. And if it had its day, if it had its say, we would all never leave the house, right? Yeah. We would never leave the house because of how fearful it is. And so really even discerning what voice are we listening to more of the time, the faith or the fear, I think can be really helpful exercise. You won't regret it. You can start small, wherever you are, whether you're not yet taking a break from alcohol, take a weekend off, take a week off, go for a month, whatever is stretching for you at that point is really, I think, effective. You're already not drinking, but you're looking for the next step, and you want to write a book or launch a business or make a change in your career or relationship. Start looking on the internet, start finding mentors and guides that can help you with that. Start reading books about that. You will never regret it. It's a leap of faith every single time, but we also come alive when we take those leaps of faith.
Yeah, we do. We do. And I would just add to that and say, maybe think about something that you've already done that you found scary, but you did it anyway. Because that just shows you, you know, how strong you are and how capable you are and how much confidence that you do have. Anything that will just remind you that actually I can do this big scary thing because I've done a similar big scary thing. And when you're doing it, when you're, you know, walking the path, you take the step, it's suddenly not as big and as scary as you thought it would be. I think, again, it comes back to that belief, doesn't it? You don't really know what it's going to be like until you try. And that's all you can do, I think. Just try, just have faith, just go for it and get support along the way if you need it, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, I love that so much. And you know, there's so many people who do have a religious faith, and we use the word faith a lot to mean, you know, in a religious way. But what if we also mean it in this way too, right? What if
Yeah.
true faith isn't just believing in a, you know, this deity or that deity? It's having faith in the messages for your life, you know?
Mm.
And what if that is the ultimate test of faith? That we really go after the things that our heart is compelling us to. I think that would be so much more all-encompassing and just giving us such guidance, such support, knowing that, you know, we're not alone. We have so much guidance from our heart, from whatever you believe in, from whatever's out there, urging us along the way, and you just won't be disappointed when you listen to that voice.
Yeah. Oh, this is so lovely. I'm so excited. Thank you, Karolina. I know that everybody's gonna love this and hopefully come away feeling inspired and excited to take their own leap of faith towards whatever that might be. So thank you so much. And it's so good to see you there in Poland as well, in Europe. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Conversation with you. And if anyone's interested in learning more, you know, I have a book called Euphoric, Ditch Alcohol, Gain a Happier, More Confident You. You can find it in the UK and the US on Amazon. So just Google that. And thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to be here.
Oh, you're welcome. And we put the links in the show notes of your book and your website and everything. So people can contact you directly if they want more information. And if they want to read their book, your book, of course.
Perfect.